Interviews are scary. You get nervous, you start to sweat, you think that everyone is judging you, you start overthinking, microanalyzing every single question, start trembling, and eventually you screw up. But it doesn't have to be that way. In this video, I'm not gonna tell you that you need to change your personality, that you need to train yourself on being a different person. If you stick to these rules of what you want to say during your interview and what you don't want to say during the interview, you'll significantly raise your chances for your future success. Before we jump into what to say and what not to say during the interview process, try to remember one thing. Interview is a two-way street. Interviewers are not there to judge and microanalyze you and pinpoint your faults. Interviewers are there to try to understand whether your personality and your technical skill set fits within the expectations that they're looking for. And at the same time, they're thinking whether the company's culture fits your personality. In the modern world, the interviewers will first of all look in their personality traits because they want to create a good team. Take an interview as a way to get to know the people that you might potentially work with, the company and the culture. HR professionals, recruiters, and headhunters are human as well, and they also make mistakes sometimes. What they do when they interview someone, they try to understand whether they like the personality as much as to go out with this person for a glass of beer. And if at the end of the interview they feel like they would never want to hang out with this person, that this process is gonna be over. And in this video, I'm not gonna tell you that you need to change your personality, that you need to train yourself on being a different person. What you have to do is you have to make your personality come across the right way, the beneficial way for you, especially if you really want this job. There are certain things that you want to say during the interview process and certain things that you absolutely do not want to say. And I have a list of important questions for you to consider. These questions I took from my personal experience of interviewing people over several years in my career, something that I used to train the candidates on, and now I would like to cover them with you as well. First things first, when the interviewers are asking you to introduce yourself, you can absolutely start with your name if it is something that makes you comfortable, because people like to start with something that they are absolutely aware of. However, after that, you can jump right into your last position, what you're doing right now, what is the company you're working for, or what was the last company that you were working for, and how long. As simple as that. What you don't want to start with is the year you were born or the high school you were going to, because all this information is super relevant. Mistake number 2, you really have to listen and answer and give the answer that is very relevant to the question that you were asked. What you don't want to do is you don't want to ramble on the topic that has nothing to do with the question. I know sometimes it feels like the interviewer haven't asked you this question, but you feel like it's a really relevant information and it can raise your chances to get a job. But at the same time, this information may actually drown you as well, because this is something that the interviewer is not interested in. That's why they didn't raise this topic. Interview is designed a certain way so that the interviewer gets all the information that they need in order to make a conclusion whether this candidate is a good fit for the job or the job is the good fit for the candidate. And when people start rambling a lot, when they start telling all these irrelevant details that draws attention away from the main topic, they don't give the interviewer a chance to ask all the questions in the limited time that the interviewer has. So just try to stick close to the point and try to respect the time that was set to have a conversation with you. Try to stay positive at all times of this process. Try to upbring your personality, some good qualities that you have. What you don't want to do is you don't want to say negative things about your boss, about your ex-coworkers, because this is right away a red flag. And sometimes we can ask the person why did they leave the job. And even if you have a situation where you absolutely hated your boss and that was the main reason why you wanted to leave this job, you just want to say that the culture of the company doesn't really match with your expectations. And as simple as that, you give the answer and it is clear that you kind of didn't match with your past company or you want to have some career development that this company doesn't give you, but at the same time you don't give out any negative response about your boss or your coworkers or other people, because what goes through our mind as interviewers is that this person is negative and this person will probably be telling the same negative things about me as an employer and the coworkers that they're working with. Talk about what you can bring to the company and the team. Really think carefully, do some research on what this company does, on what are the specifications of the role, and that what you can actually bring to them. During the first interview, never ask about the salary, about vacation, about the benefits, about either things that can benefit you specifically, about the schedule, whether it's remote or hybrid or it's in the office, because it just gives out the wrong type of motivation. For the people like that, the only motivation, as we can say, is material value. And for us, it means that when this person gets another offer for a different position that pays a little bit higher and gives better benefit, this person's gonna switch. The impression that you want to create first and foremost is that you are actually interested in the company and in this role. Now we are coming to the 3 most important points when it comes to what to say and not what to say during the interview process. First of all, you have to answer the question no matter how ridiculous, obvious, or repetitive it sounds. Never say things like, well, you can just look at my resume. It's on my resume. Like, I wrote it absolutely how it is on my resume. Just look at my resume, just spend some time. Like, what, like, are you not prepared for the interview? Like, why are you asking me this? You should already know this. When you say it's on my resume, that's how we take it. So if the person is asking you this question, it is because they want to make a better sense of your skill set or your personality. And if this is something that is already on your resume, they probably just want you to say it out loud, because it's one way to read something, but another thing to hear it from someone who specifically went through that experience. Me as a headhunter, sometimes in order for me to understand exactly what the skill set of this person is, I have to answer the same question in a couple different ways to better gauge the scope of work they've done before. So what I'm saying is there are so many different reasons why the interviewers can ask you either, a repetitive question or obvious question or, ridiculous question. Just always keep in mind that all of these assumptions are only about you, because for the interviewer, it doesn't seem obvious, repetitive, or ridiculous. The next thing that people make mistake about is a little controversial, and I'd say that I'm on the fence here because I've heard people do both things. It's the requirement to ask questions when the interviewer is asking you if you have any questions. What I think about it is that you should absolutely ask questions if you have anything to ask the interviewer about. But at the same time, if you don't have any questions, you don't want to say something like, I don't have any questions, and that's all. You want to elaborate a little bit about it. You want to say that, I don't have any questions at this time. The information that you provided was very thorough. I understand everything, but I'm pretty sure that I will have some questions as soon as we hang up the call. So if it's okay with you, I would love to reach out to you in case I will have any questions. So you don't really want to just sound like you don't care, like you don't have any questions, like just give me the job. You just want to pinpoint that everything that you were talking about before made complete sense, and at this time you don't have any questions. The last, but certainly not the least, something that's extremely important that you should always bear in mind when someone is asking you about the experience you had before with a particular thing and you don't have this experience, don't say that you don't have this experience. Try to think about the most relevant transferable skills that can kind of explain that in some way you might have this experience. What you absolutely do not want to do is just say, I don't have experience, because the interviewer will never ask you a question without having a reason to it. So if there is a certain skill set that comes up that you don't have experience about, it's probably because this is a very important skill set or somewhat important skill set in your future career opportunity. And the more transferable skills you can put in there, to define your level of expertise towards the skill set, the better. Obviously, nailing the interview is not the only thing that is very important on getting a job, but it is definitely something that is very easy to train yourself on. You don't have to change your personality, as I mentioned in the beginning. You don't have to seem like a completely different person. All you have to do is to make your personality come across the right way. And if you stick to these rules of what you want to say during your interview and what you don't want to say during the interview, you'll significantly raise your chances for your future success. That's everything for me for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.